Hi, Slash.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Hey, man.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Well, can you tell me the story behind your book? What inspired you or motivated you to write it?
I've been asked to write a book over the years I've been asked many times to write a book, and I just was never interested in it. Basically, because it seems to me like writing a book always seems like closing the door on your life, you know. But there was a period there where there was so many rumors going around about Guns N' Roses, about writing, about why I quit, and everybody was taking them, the public was taking it as fact, especially because of social networking and all that stuff nowadays. People believe whatever they read.
Right.
I started to get a little bit frustrated. Anyway, and I met with Anthony Boza. We were introduced, and he was the only person that I'd met who would be a likely candidate. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to talk about where I come from and my experiences, and it sort of closed it with Velvet Revolver because that just started. So that was the motivation.
Okay. A couple of easy questions now and fun. How many black top hats do you have?
Seriously.
I'm just a messenger.
It's funny you should ask that because I was looking last night. I have one main one that I wear that I've had for years and years.
Okay.
And I've got probably 3 or 4 other ones, all of which I've had for a really long time.
Do you still have that one that you, let's say, borrowed from the retail slot store back in the 80s?
No, that got stolen
Oh.
from the bar way back then.
Oh, okay, that's unfortunate. Sometimes you play the guitar without a pick or with a pick. When do you use one and when not?
See, I pretty much use a pick most of the time, but I do use my fingers just for certain tonal things and for finger picking when I'm doing sort of arpeggios and stuff like that.
In your book, you're very open and clear about the drug and alcohol use that you did all these years. As you've said multiple times, you put this completely in the past. So what would you advise young people and even young guitar players who look up on you?
Having to do with drugs and alcohol?
Well, with all these, let's say, abuse or extra.
Yeah, well, I mean, my story is an individual story, and everybody's are different.
Mm-hmm.
But when the most important thing about excelling with any instrument is dedication and time and commitment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's first and foremost to me. You have to be really, really. You have to have your mindset that that's what you want to do, and there's nothing that can stop you from doing it. And then you have to spend as much time as possible with the instrument to sort of get to know it and do the things that you want to do. And that's before you even decide to make a career out of it.
Right.
But as far as everything else goes, it's all trial and error. I have absolutely no regrets about how I came up and what I went through, and the different experiences that good that I had to that I had to go through in order to get to a point where I finally made a decision as to what I want to do in order to keep going.
Right.
So that's when I sort of closed the door on the whole sort of drugs and booze and whatever. And that was totally motivated by, my passion and commitment to music. And I think it helped a lot to have a family at that point, kids and so on, sort of get a perspective on things. But it was a long, tough road. I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
Right.
It was the path that I went down.
That's fair. In regards to the past, present as well, where does your musical inspiration come from? And one of the questions of the fans is that what inspired you to write the November Rain solo, which is one of the greatest guitar solos ever, according to the Guitar World magazine?
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's actually number 6 in the top 100 greatest guitar solos.
Let's see, my passion for music just, I guess I always liked music, you know. I always felt emotionally connected to rock and roll and a lot of different kinds of music, you know, R&B and classical and all kinds of stuff. Anything that was good, you know. And so I had no aspirations to become a musician until I just happened to pick up a guitar when I was about 15 years old. And once I, you know, put 3 notes together that sounded good, you know, I was off and running, and I've just been driven by music ever since. I never really thought about why.
Yeah.
Just the way it is. And I probably am more passionate about it now than I was when I started, and it becomes more and more so as time goes by.
We can definitely see that.
And then the November Rain thing, it's, you know, it's not really what you call, it was a pretty spontaneous solo when it first came. Like, I never sat down and worked it out. It just developed. The more we played the song, the more it sort of, the melody sort of came together. But it was originally inspired by just the song itself.
Okay. Now, in your book, you're talking about, I'm just going to go back to the Guns N' Roses era. You're talking about some material that you recorded when touring with Guns N' Roses, especially during the Use Your Illusion tour, that, as you say, is locked in a vault or something like that. Is that material ever going to be released?
You know what? I don't even remember what it was.
Okay.
Where if you were to say, well, can you play anything that you wrote during the Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion? I get, you know, I can't even remember writing anything really. I know that I wrote some stuff around the time that we were supposed to go in the studio before I quit the band, but I don't remember what it is. I don't know if it was actually recorded for sure. I'm pretty positive that some of this stuff has to be on tape because everything was being taped. And so yeah, if that is the case, it's locked in the vault, and I seriously doubt it will see the light of day.
Okay. Actually, one of the questions of our fans was, how did you remember all these details that you describe in your book?
Yeah, that's a good question. One of the reasons I didn't want to write a book, one of many, but it was because I was intimidated by the idea of trying to remember anything, because, you know, I was under the influence most of the time. But when I sat down with Anthony, we started out a system where we would look at major events, stuff that you could never really forget, and piecing those together, and then filling in the spaces in between.
Okay.
And after a while, just because of that sort of system, I started to sort of use those parts of my brain that I didn't know retained any real information. And next thing you know, it was pretty free flowing from there. And there was a point there where I couldn't stop remembering. You know?
Okay.
A lot of it, I consciously left out a lot of sordid details and debaucherous stuff just because I didn't want to use it for bragging rights, and I just sort of put in, you know, like the overview. And so it's funny, it's a personal book, but it really is not that personal.
Okay. So one more question before we move on with the present, your Velvet Revolver, and the things you're working on. This is a question that I personally have as well. In recent years, we've seen the likes of a lot of bands like Kiss, Iron Maiden, reform after, you know, big, bitter musical divorces. Can you ever see that happening with Guns N' Roses? I mean, would you be interested, first of all, in jamming with all the original Guns N' Roses members again?
I don't see a reformation in the future.
Okay.
Only because nobody really seems. I don't think anybody's interested in it. No one's made the effort to try and put that together within the band members. Tons of money-minded managers and record company type people have been entertaining that idea for years, but not within the 5 guys has there been any spark of interest to reunite. It's mostly in the media and in the public with people who see dollar signs out of it. And then as far as playing with the other guys, I mean, I've played with everybody.
Okay.
Over the years, actually pretty recently. So that's no big news.
Got
And
it.
it's always fun to do that. But as a group, it's just I don't see it in the foreseeable future anyway.
Okay. So what do you work on these days?
Right now, I just put out a live record, which just yesterday, day before yesterday,
Oh.
from a show that I did in England last summer.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm working on a studio album now, so we're in the studio as we speak, doing another solo record. And so that's the big thing in music that I'm doing. But I've also got a horror movie that I produced, which is coming out next year, in production at the moment, and then a couple other things which are happening. So it's been really busy for me.
Okay. But is any of this Velvet Revolver material, or is it something that you're doing solo?
We haven't. Velvet Revolver, we let Scott go, and so we've been sort of looking. We looked for a singer in earnest for a while, and then slowly but surely, I took off to do my own thing for a little bit, without doing his own thing, and so we're still sort of looking for a singer, but I just don't have any immediate plans for Velvet Revolver yet.
Okay. I know you said there are no immediate plans, but a lot of Velvet Revolver fans here in Greece are asking whether or when you're going to come here in Greece and have a concert. I guess.
I'll probably come there to Greece next year on my own. I don't know when Velvet Revolver.
Okay, sounds good. Please let us know. We'll be there. One more question. If you weren't a musician, what else do you think that you would be?
If I wasn't in music, I would definitely be an artist, an illustrator or painter or something like that. Because that's what I did before I picked up guitar. I still do it. I design. Always have designed logos for the bands that I've been in, and Guns N' Roses included, T-shirts and tattoos and all, whatever.
Right.
So that's always been something that I've been capable of doing. But when I picked up guitar, I put most of my focus on that.
Okay. You've done, obviously, so many things in your life that make me wonder if there's anything you would want to do but you haven't done so far during all these years, or you weren't able to yet.
Off the top of my head, I'm pretty much doing, or in the process of doing, what I want to do all the time, and it's always sort of whatever path as a musician I happen to be on. So that's always my immediate focus. I don't look too far down the road. I pretty much, only look however many, months ahead. And so that's, from where I'm standing, it's all about music. So.
Mm-hmm. It's true that you wrote your biography at a young age, and after reading this book and knowing that you're still very active, a lot of people are left with a desire to know even more. I personally started searching the internet and YouTube to learn more about all these things that you talk about. Is there any material left for a second biography, or any stories, incidents that haven't been included in the first one, or something that you would like to include since that biography was released?
No, I mean, if I do write another book down the road, that remains to be seen. Obviously, I'd have to be inspired to feel that it's necessary. For some reason, I did think the last one was necessary at that particular time. But at this point, I'm not really thinking about doing another one. I do have some excerpts from the last book that I took out that were probably bitter venting, having to do with Axl and Guns N' Roses. I took all that stuff out, so it's in a safe, and I doubt I'm going to put it out.
Okay, now you're going to raise many more questions, but I would like to ask about getting married, having a family. What are you looking for when it happened, and how has becoming a father changed you, and what have you learned from your two sons?
Wow, that's a big question. No, I wasn't looking to get married. I was actually about to get divorced when I hooked up with my current wife. Mm-hmm. No, I wasn't looking for it. I think it was a matter of fate. And but it's been really good for me, and I've got a great wife, and I think she probably saved my ass more times than once. and the kids are great as well, because they definitely put things into perspective. And I think it's good to not be so completely self-centered as rock stars are. I think it's good to have kids to sort of balance out
Great.
And so yeah, it's all good. All right.
So, Slash, thank you very much. We really appreciate it and wish you the best with finding a new singer for Velvet Revolver. And we're looking forward to seeing you in Greece next year.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.